What's up, engineers? IndyDevDan here. I have a special video for you today. This is a hands-on, no BS AI coding devlog using Claude Code and the Model Context Protocol. I have never adopted a tool faster than I've adopted Claude Code. There is nothing more important going on right now for true software engineering in the Gen AI age than Claude Code and MCP. In this video, I'll show why that's true. So we're gonna boot up Claude Code, but we're not gonna prematurely jump in here and start firing off prompts iteratively. That's the old 2024 way to do things. First thing we need to do is gather all the context and information we need to run Claude Code in its true agentic form. To do this, we're going to use a tool called Repomix. Repomix allows us to read entire code bases and collapse them into a single file that we can use as context for our AI tooling for Claude Code. AI coding tools, LLMs, they love patterns. They love pre-existing information. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to clone the Model Context Protocol server's GitHub repository, and then we're going to look at a specific example that we can pull from. So we're going to look at Git here, and so we're going to cd into the Git directory, and we can see there's the structure. We can run ls and tree to kind of understand the high-level structure, and then we can run Repomix. So Repomix allows us to take this code base and collapse it into a single file. You can see we have 30K tokens there. And now we're just going to move this into our code base, right? So I'm going to get the path to our current code base, run that, and then move this into the AI docs directory. You may have seen this throughout some of the code bases that I work on. Maybe you have your own pattern for this. This is super important for just organizing information that your AI tooling can reference. All right, so there's that. We now have the MCP server for Git, and now we can use this as a key guiding example, a key guiding structure for our new tool that we're building, our new MCP server that we're going to build in this video called Pocket Pick. So there's that. Now we're going to do something super important. We're going to create a spec. We're going to create a plan. So before we dive into what this plan is all about, I'm curious what you think. Comment down below. Let me know what you think is a more important release, Model Context Protocol or Claude Code. I feel like these are two massively game-changing tools. Let me know which tool you're using the most. Are you fully on board with Claude Code, and are you fully on board with MCP servers? I've been holding off, trying to wait to understand the landscape of the Model Context Protocol. There are, of course, risks associated with committing to a technology like this, but I think Anthropic is doing it in such a way that it makes sense. It's open source, it's public, anyone can build these. This is turning out to be the standard for building AI agents, for building AI tools. As you'll see in this video, you can quickly build your own MCP servers. So what are we building, and what is the spec, right? What is the spec prompt? What is this plan that we're building? So we are building Pocket Pick. This is your personal knowledge base for reusability of ideas, patterns, and code snippets. This is something that we started building out in lesson 8 of Principled AI Coding. And what we're going to do here in this video is use Claude Code in its true agentic coding form to build out a full version of this built completely on MCP. So this is something different. I've been waiting to pull the trigger on this. We're going to build this tool as an MCP server first. So there will be no other way to interact with this tool other than MCP. I think this is going to be the direction things will go as MCP grows and develops. So Pocket Pick is all about quickly being able to save and then reference ideas, patterns, and code snippets for your engineering work. We're setting up the project structure, so quite literally the directory structure of this new tool. Just above, you can see the simple Pocket Pick SQLite table structure. I love when I can boil down data structures to just the essentials. We have ID, created, text, and tags, right? This is all we need to create a great first version of our personal knowledge base of our pocket picks. And so, you might be asking, why are we building out this plan? Why aren't we just starting to prompt, right? Because I can guarantee you that if you're writing prompts iteratively, you are not doing as much as you can, and you're not scaling your impact as much as you could be. And in this video, you'll see exactly what I mean. I'm creating that classic implementation notes section. This is where you just basically write ad hoc information. It's where you work through things. It's kind of a catch-all section. We're doing some API-based design here. A great way to communicate information to your AI coding tools is to create the interface in which you would use to operate with it. So what we're doing here is creating a CLI-based API design, right? And this will very clearly communicate to our AI coding assistant what we want the API to look like. You can see here I'm using cursor tab as well to help me, quickly create this spec prompt. I think the tech ecosystem has a massive problem in thinking that there are best tools, right? And thinking, what's the best tool? What's the best AI coding tool I can use? Is it Cursor? Is it Claude Code? Is it Aider? Devin? What's the best tool, right? I just want to use the best tool. I think this is a very limiting mindset because it forces you to always think in competition, right? It forces you to think in winner takes all. The world is not winner takes all, at least not our world, right? We don't have to pick one, we can pick multiple. The real question we should ask is, what combination of tools gives me the best results in the least amount of time with the fewest trade-offs, right? We're engineers. Our work is all about trade-offs, right? We're balancing trade-offs. It doesn't matter what AI technology you're using, there will always be a trade-off. The best engineers know when to make the right trade-offs. So I think in ands, not ors. I use, Claude Code. I use cursor tab. I use Aider, right? There's a time and place for all these tools. And, just to address the elephant in the room, that is Claude Code. This tool does change things. Like I mentioned, in combination with MCP, this tool is a must-have for engineers moving forward. Specifically, some powerful MCP host and your own personal set of MCP servers. This is just going to be the way things are moving. This information set, this tool set has caught fire. We'll talk about Aider and Claude Code more in the future. I'm continuing to build out the project structure. And as you can see here, we're using information dense keywords. We're using the mirror keyword. If you've taken principal AI coding, you know exactly how powerful that is and what this means. This is really cool. So I'm basically treating every file inside of our project structure as a prompt, right? So you can communicate additional information by using some simple nesting structure like this, right? So you can see here I'm adding a new pedantic type in the data types file. I'm detailing that we want that default database path. And then here we're going to use one of my favorite patterns, ... This is one of my all-time favorite information dense keywords. ... tells your AI coding assistant continue, right? Keep going with the pattern, right? Fill in the blanks. Feel free to pause the video there. This is something that we talk about in principal AI coding, but just by typing that ... there, our AI coding assistant knows to create the other pedantic types. Filling in some more implementation notes here, nothing super crazy, nothing super new happening here. And we're just working through everything that we want done here, right? So we're referencing our documentation. We're saying that we want all of our tags to be lowercase. And now we're looking at the MCP Git server. We want to see the dependencies it has, right? So I want to make sure that I'm covering the dependencies. We also want PyTest. We're going to need this for closed loop self-validation. And of course, SQLite 3, this is built in, so I'm going to make sure that I mention that. Okay, and I'm telling I'm telling Claude Code how to run things, right? And so just adding some more implementation notes here. I definitely could have added some of these inside of the project structure, but it's important to not overthink things too much. You just want to have the information visible to your AI coding tool, right? Keep things simple. Now we're doing something really, really important. Again, Principal AI Coding members know why this is so important. We're closing the loop here by telling our language model how to validate itself. So we're working through here. We almost have a final version. We're gonna make one tweak to our plan. And you may be like, holy crap, you haven't done anything yet. We spent 10 minutes writing this plan. That's right, we have. And you're gonna see why and how powerful it is in just a moment here. And so as I was working through this, I realized that I don't think I had enough information to complete the work needed for the find command. And now that I'm playing this back, I actually completely write this incorrectly. So I'm using pocket add instead of pocket find. So, there's just a glaring mistake there. We'll see if our AI coding assistant picks up on my mistake or automatically corrects it for me. So there we go. Now we're back in Claude Code, and now it's time to fire off Claude Code. So we now have our plan. Now it's time to watch our upfront investment pay off. So I'm going to prime Claude Code. This is a really important kind of new paradigm. I'm saying read these files, then implement the plan, right? So you can see as per request, it's reading those files, and then it's going to read, there we go, it's reading the project.toml, right? It's understanding the entire project structure, and now it's going to read the plan, right? So there it goes. Now it wants to start working. So, if you've used Claude Code, you know what's going to happen next. We're going to turn on YOLO mode. I don't want it to ask for permission all the time. I want it to get the work done in the most agentic fashion possible. So here we go. This is the incredible part. Like, subscribe, comment if you know what's going to happen next here, right? So we wrote out this comprehensive plan, and look at what's happening. Look at what's happening on the left. Files, content, code, it's getting generated, right? We wrote the plan, we outlined the directory structure, we used IDKs to communicate a lot of information, and check this out. Add got created, find got created, list tags got created, list got created, remove just got generated, right? This is a different way of engineering. This is the next phase in AI coding. We're moving from AI coding to agentic coding. Great planning is now great prompting. Okay, this is a paradigm shift in how code gets created. Our AI coding assistant understands what we want because we spent the upfront investment, right? These are not one-off ad hoc prompts, right? Claude Code doesn't need to read, write, read, write, read, write. We gave it a big picture as if our product manager or lead engineer wrote up a very, very powerful, comprehensive, ticket or plan for you to build something, right? That's the way to think about writing great spec prompts. So you can see here, dependencies, right? It's all getting added here, and now it knows we're operating in UV. It's asking to install. We say yes, of course. And things are happening, right? Things are just happening. I actually entered in the wrong command here, but it doesn't end up mattering too much. And there we go. Tests, right? Tests are getting generated, and it's all just happening. It's just we set things up, we invested, and now our tooling is doing the work for us. Okay, so Claude is suggesting the wrong command. So I'm just going to remind it. I'm saying UV run PyTest remember. I'm kind of triggering it to run a needle in a haystack test against the plan, right? Because I did mention that explicitly in the implementation notes. I said use UV run PyTest. So something I noticed here, it's running tests. That's great. It's self-validating. It's awesome. But I noticed we're missing a ton of tests, right? We only have test add and test init. We need full test coverage. I don't want to know that part of the code base works. I want to know that all of it works. I'm just running a follow-up prompt, and you can see here in the functionality test, we are just missing tests. It only has init and test add. So I mentioned that to Claude Code, and now it's going to blaze through all the missing tests, right? Claude Code is fantastic. This is one of the best agentic coding tools to date. A tool like this, a tool this powerful forces you to rethink how you're building. It forces you to consider that this is a paradigm shift, that this is a new way of engineering, and it is. It is. I have access to 3 Claude, API tokens across different teams, and I can tell you I've spent hundreds of dollars on Claude Code already. That number is only going to go up. When we talk about trade-offs, when we talk about Aider versus Claude Code and Claude Code versus really anything, this tool is going to cost you. This thing is a token gobbler. I know some engineers have talked about Klein and other agentic tools, chewing through tokens. Claude Code is no different. Everything must come through the context window. Okay, so this is fantastic. We just ran that help command, and you can see everything looks like it passed properly. Claude Code is reporting success. If we run /costs, you can see exactly what I'm talking about there. That session, right, those 3 and really 1 prompt cost $2 to run, okay? So this is not cheap technology, right? We are talking, when you're writing these big, powerful spec prompts, we are talking dollars per prompt, right? And this is nowhere near the largest spec prompt I've created, okay? So you can imagine as you scale this up, as you hand off more of your work, as you create these more powerful, precise packages for your AI tooling, those costs, these numbers go up, right? And I do want to quickly mention, this is something we talk about in lesson 4 of principled AI coding. You want to be spending money to save time. As long as the costs are worth it, I absolutely recommend using a tool like this, using other tools that let you scale up your compute. Right now, we're doing the review process, okay? So we're reviewing, we're validating, we're making sure that, no matter how great these tools get, it's always good to just take a pass through the code to make sure it looks good. So that's what I'm doing right now. We're walking through our brand new Pocket Pick MCP server functionality. So it all looks good. And what I'm going to do now is just understand how much impact I just had. So I'm going to remove the lock file, stage these current files, and then run git diff head stat. So you can see there 1,600 lines, 1,600 lines of code created from I think we have 100 line prompt, right? About 1,000 tokens, okay? So, just looking at it from a point blank perspective, I just 16x'd my impact, right? I multiplied what I could do by 16x, not considering any complications, not considering any of the time it takes to actually write the code. That's just on a per line basis, okay? Really, it's more like a 30 or 40 or 50x because it takes time to think through and test all this code, right? And we just packaged it. We created a great package. We created a great plan. And what do? We handed it off to our AI tooling. We handed it off to our AI coding assistant. We gave it to Claude Code, the new agentic coder on the block. And we said, here's a great comprehensive plan. Build this for us, okay? So I hope you can see why that's so valuable. If you kind of get it, if you understand where things are going, hit like, hit subscribe, join the journey as we dig into using these tools and getting massive value out of these tools for your engineering work, for your career, and for your projects. As mentioned in Principled AI Coding, soon there will be nowhere else to go. AI coding tools are taking over. Engineers using these tools, as you can see here, they're doing more than ever thought possible before. An engineer, even writing iterative prompts over and over and over, they're not coding like this, right? They're not generating as much as they could be, okay? So this is really important. So what are we doing now? So now we're actually running our MCP server, right? So we just created a brand new Pocket Pick code base as a MCP-first tool. So now we're gonna test it, all right? Now we're firing up Claude. You can see there, no tools, right? No MCP tools. And now we're going to take this command, right? Claude MCP add Pocket Pick. And I'm adding some documentation here for snippet reuse. And now we're gonna fire that off. So again, looks like everything's working well. That was successfully added. I'm gonna add some more documentation here, again, just for reuse. I don't like to constantly be looking this stuff up, so I always add these to my README or some type of documentation. So Claude MCP list is going to show the MCP servers, I noticed that there's a bug here. Sometimes you have to run Claude MCP list twice to get the true list. So that's what I've done. You can see the second time Pocket Pick actually lists. So there it is. When I run Claude, you can see Pocket Pick exists as an MCP server. If we go full screen, we can get this nice, beautiful view of Claude Code. And now I'm saying, list all the tools. And so, there's an issue here. Claude Code running Sonnet 3.7. It's not perfect. So I'm going to be more precise here with my prompt. I'm going to say list Pocket Pick tools. And, just trying to be a little bit more precise with my prompt. And there it is. So we can see all the capabilities we have access to via this new Pocket Pick MCP server that we had Claude Code, quite literally one shot for us. I think it was one shot and, maybe 2 or 3 small follow-up prompts. And so now we're running our first command, right? So Pocket list, and we have an error, okay? So this is something that's going to happen. We're expecting our large-scale agentic coding tools to get us 90, 95, 99% of the way there. So I'm literally just going to take that error and write a follow-up prompt inside of Claude Code detailing where the issue is, right? At this point in the video, Claude understands this code base better than I do, right? I haven't even seen half the files in this code base, right? Speaking of trade-offs, when you use agentic coding tools like this, you will naturally understand less of what is getting built, right? In more high-stakes production products, I am spending a lot more time on the review process. So that change got implemented. I'm now running the same command, right? List all Pocket Picks. There it is. And now we have the correct response. No items found. So our Pocket Pick database is empty. As you saw there, Claude giving us some key information. And now what we need to do is add some content to our Pocket Pick database. Pocket Pick helps us keep track of ideas, patterns, and code snippets. I'm sure you've run into this issue a million times where you have a code snippet, you have some piece of code that you refer to over and over and over again. For me, I refer to these model documentation all the time, right? But there are many other things that you might want to refer to. For instance, you might want to save how to run the Claude 3.7 thinking tokens, right? You might want to save specific aider startup commands. You might want to save some documentation or a quote that you liked or an idea that you liked, right? There's tons of examples of things that you might want to save, right? So I'm doing something really cool here. This is an MCP-first tool. So I'm saying use PB paste and add a new Pocket Pick item with these tags. So this is really cool. So you can see there's the paste and there's the Pocket add command with the text, with the tags. The tool is alive. We have built this thing, right? And we've built it in fractions of the time that it would have taken if we did this by hand or even with iterative AI coding prompts. Okay, so you can literally go back and count if you want. We ran maybe 6 prompts, and one prompt did 90% of the work, right? Thanks to our spec. So just testing out functionality here. You can see I just ran Pocket Get with that exact ID and got that correct item. And now we're just continuing to look through. I want to add additional Pocket Picks, right? I want to add additional items into my Pocket Pick database to work with. So I'm going to the OpenAI model page, just going to do a quick copy and kind of run that same thing, right? So I'm saying PB paste, ppick add. So I'm using a on the fly information dense keyword that I literally just made up out of nowhere. Ppick add, and then some tags, right? And I should have prefixed that with tags, but Claude Code is going to get it here. It understands how to write this, and there you go. There's that new Pocket add command. You can see item successfully added with those tags. So it did, understand the proper tagging. And now we're going to run clear to reset everything. I don't want Claude Code having the context of what just happened. I want that fresh session. And there we go. So I'm running Pocket list tags. So now you can see all the tags that currently exist in the Pocket Pick SQLite database. And so now we're going to run Pocket Pick find O3 mini. And I'm going to look for it in substring mode. I really should have chosen a different mode there because substring is the default. But you can see there it found that pocket pick item. And now I'm going to run list tools again. So we're going to see all the tools available. So just letting Claude work through whatever it needs to run to show me the available tools. There it is. So I'm going to run pocket backup. So I want to back up the database. And so you can see there I just ran ls through Claude. This is a kind of cool way to run commands. You can just type, point blank bash commands, shell commands. And now I'm saying back up the database using absolute path. So, back up to this current directory. And then I'm going to run ls again, right in Claude Code. And you can see there's the result. We now have that backed up database. So that works great. And opening up a new terminal tab here, I'm going to move to that directory. I just doing validation, right? I want to make sure that things are actually working as expected. Opening up a cursor instance here, using a nice extension here that lets me view into SQLite databases. And as you would expect, we have our 2 rows. So again, we're just validating, right? A lot of what we're going to do now in the age of generative AI with these powerful AI coding tools is just curate, validate, review, double check, triple check, and tweak, right? So what we're going to do now is add an additional MCP tool. As you can see, Claude Code by itself is incredibly powerful. Claude Code is even more powerful when you add a tool. But when you start stacking these MCP servers together, you get something truly extraordinary. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to add fetch to make it easier to put together these pocket pick items. So again, I'm adding documentation, right? I highly recommend you don't just copy this stuff and fire it once. Like, make it reusable, right? Make it easy for yourself to keep winning. Make it easy for yourself to move fast. So creating that command there, and then I'm gonna, end this session, move back to Claude Code, kill this session. You can see there that was a 13-cent session, not cheap for the little work that we did. But there we go, right? So added that server, validated it with MCP list, and now we can click off Claude with a brand new MCP server connected, right? So now we have the ability to make web requests. I'm going to the Gemini docs, and you can guess what I'm going to do here, right? Copy the URL, fetch, Gemini web page. Then I'm saying then add pocket pick item. Then of course I'll specify tags. So we're going to say LLM, models, Gemini, and Flash. So whenever I want to look up this pocket pick item, I can just search for LLM, models, Gemini, or Flash, right? So there it is. We need to give YOLO mode access to scrape this entire page over and over. So that's what we're doing. We're letting Claude Code operate in its highest efficiency mode, right? Which is YOLO mode. It's just agentic, right? It did make a mistake here. I want all the content. It's doing some trimming. This is one of the annoying parts about some of these models. They try to, reduce context sometimes. So you have to be explicit every once in a while. And there we go. So we saw that new Gemini pocket pick item got added. Fantastic. So now I can run lists, again, information dense keyword there, ppick, tags, and there we go. So there are all of my tags. Now we're going to go ahead and find all of my items. I'm going to look for all of my LLM tags and then create a markdown file with all the models, right? So there we go. So we're going to run that first command. You can see that was wrong. That was the wrong command. So immediately Claude Code pivoted to the pocket list command versus the pocket find. Pocket find is for looking up text, and pocket list is for searching via tags. I probably could have improved the naming there, but as you can see here, we're working through it, making progress. There's that LLM models file. That all looks great. And now I'm just going to do some more, ad hoc testing. You've seen me do this in a couple of previous videos, create a YAML and JSON version. I'm just kind of playing with Claude Code here and, validating some functionality. So, these tools are incredibly powerful, okay? It's important to stay up to date. It's important to understand what you can do with these tools. On the channel, I try to share, as much as I can with the time that I do have. I try to share with you these kind of key AI coding ideas and principles and patterns. But, in every video, we only really scratch the surface of what we can do. I highly, highly recommend you check out Principled AI Coding if you haven't already. This is my take on how to transition from the old ways of engineering to the new way, where we code and build faster than ever with AI coding tools like Aider, Cursor, and now Claude Code, right? And whatever's coming next. In the course, we focus on principles, not tools. We focus on principles, not models. We know that models will continue to evolve. We know that tools will just keep changing. But, what matters, and I'm really proud of this, the fact that, with every passing day, with every release, principled AI coding is still relevant. In fact, it's even more relevant than it was when it was launched. Okay, so I highly recommend you check it out. I'm packing in bonuses after bonuses inside the tool. I'm going to be releasing a state of AI coding, a long form essay detailing tools I'm using, the models I'm using. I'm going to break down where the industry is at, where the industry is going. So again, that's going to be available exclusively for Principled AI Coding members that have taken Principled AI Coding to completion. So I highly recommend you check that out. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and prompts into Principled AI Coding. It's going to help you move fast. It's going to help you remain and be relevant and truly thrive with these AI coding tools. As you saw here in this video, it's all about adaptability. It's all about patterns that you can reuse across code bases, across time. And the best way to form these patterns is with concrete principles. So definitely check that out. Link's going to be in the description for you. This code base, Pocket Pick, is also going to be available for you. If I have time, I will create a full, PyPy hosted version of this, so we can just run UVX on this. But this is Claude Code. This is, just a glimpse of AI coding with these tools. Like I mentioned, I only spent $2 here. I spend hundreds across the week shipping more code than ever. If you enjoyed this video, if you want to stay up to date, hit the like, hit the subscribe, join the journey. Thank you so much for watching. Stay focused and keep building.